If you're planning on getting 3 sheets in the wind this Halloween,
treat yourself to the best in booze at Good Spirits.
Located at 1202 1st Street, Jessup, Georgia.
So remember,
Every witch and werewolf,
ghoul and goblin,
fang or claw,
lift your spirits
with good spirits.
Not responsible for magic potions, creature comforts, or liquid courage.
Winter time.
Well, that's the grand opening across town music.
Yeah, that looks like the gravy days right there. Mm-hmm. I got a half beard and probably am drunk.
And it looks like the wrist was.
I haven't been that skinny in a long time. Even though when I was that skinny, I still had a big old head. Look at that big old head.
something in the water taught me how to crawl. Something in the water taught me how to fall.
Hey folks, welcome to another Something in the Water podcast. I'm your co-host, Uncle Dave Griffin, along with
Sean Clark
and our good buddy Justin Mercer over there on the behind the scenes, making everything right. And this time our guest is none other than my nephew, Graham Griffin.
Hey guys, thank
Good
you.
to have you.
Good to be here.
All right, so tell them what your whole name is.
David Graham Griffin, named after you and GP.
There you go, folks. Now you know that I'm not been lying to you. He was named after his Uncle Dave, and the Graham came from Graham Parsons, a Waycross, Georgia boy. And you've pretty much lived up to your namesakes.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but
you have, because both Graham Parsons and myself, we both like to write a song every now and then.
Well, that is something I continue to do. I mean, nobody hears most of them, but yeah, that is something I continue to do and love. So
Yeah. So, where did you get the inspiration to start writing songs?
I don't know if stuff like that is just a certain amount of it's like inborn or something,
Yeah.
or
inbred, they
genetic.
call it.
Innate?
Inbred.
Inbred?
Inbred. Yeah, I don't know if it's inbred, but
Well, you
no,
started with poetry, didn't you? Weren't you writing poetry first, or no?
actually, if you want to get technical about it, I have my dad, your brother, Gary,
Your brother?
the guy's brother. Yeah, as Larry King said. No, he has told me stories about me being like 3 years old in the bathtub, and I'd make him go get a pad and a pen, and I would dictate the songs to him, and he would write them out. And so I guess if you want to get technical, it started that early.
At an early age.
And my daughter, Tori Towns, she's named after Towns Van Zandt. She is 5 now, and she's writing songs. And she does the same thing. She makes me get up because she's not reading and writing quite yet. I get a little pad, and she wants to dictate to me. And the other day I told her that she was a songwriter, and she said, "I can't write, Dad. I can't write. I'm not a songwriter." I said, "Yeah, but you're making up songs, so you're a songwriter." And even when she was she wasn't even 2 yet. She was 1.5. I got her a little Minnie Mouse, like little tiny Minnie Mouse guitar. And she didn't even know what a guitar was at that time. And I kind of showed her, like, this makes music or whatever, and handed it to her. And she picked it up and started doing it. And she said, apple juice, apple juice. She was already writing a song about what she knew, So that, I guess,
That's good
most
folk
of
music when you write about what you know.
That's right. So apple juice and dirty diapers. But I guess, I don't know where it comes from. I guess that's the best answer.
Yeah. Megan, my daughter Megan, was doing it too when she was little. I've still got snippets of some of the first songs that she or committed to at paper, and they are funny. I myself now, I don't know. I know that my parents weren't songwriters or poets.
Well,
but they were heavily into music.
Right. Yeah, granddad loved.
My daddy, your granddaddy, had a monster of a record collection.
And he liked all the good stuff too.
He did. He had that. It was my intro to Hank Williams Sr. and Johnny Cash and all those wonderful 45s. And he had albums too. He had albums and 45s. We had a killer German stereo console cabinet, a whole system, It was Telefunken was the brand name, and it was a beautiful piece of furniture. And that's where I got my early. I mean, I was hooked by that. I would spend hours in front of that piece of furniture, probably more than television. Yeah, and
would they let y'all play
work
stuff?
it?
Yeah,
I'm sure. We were probably chastised and told not to, but I think we couldn't keep our hands off of it. It's like, as a child, you figure things out, and it don't matter that. It's just like nowadays, little 2 and 3 year olds with cell phones.
Oh yes,
they'll be going like this.
It's wild. They can already do. They as soon as they're born, they're like surrounded by it.
It's what you know.
Yeah.
It's what your environment.
Which is a good and bad thing, probably. But Grandma was going to say, your mother, she wrote like a book. I don't think it ever got published, but about her experiences as a teacher, and she was a really good writer. So maybe some of the writing stuff come from her. Because Dad is a great writer. You're a great writer.
He is.
And we were all editors of the high school paper.
I didn't realize you were.
Well, we I sort of say that we had the year I graduated, we consolidated, so we kind of had a little paper going, but we never really got it up and going. But that's what I did. That's what y'all had, a proper paper probably back then. You were the editor, Dad, and Connor, right?
Connor, I don't think was the editor.
Well, he wrote for it.
He did. I think he did write for the newspaper.
Which we were a half-assed paper, but I mean, everything that year was kind of crazy because they were still building the school when we moved in there. But that is where to segue, that is where I started doing music and meeting the people that I first got in bands with was there.
School, high school.
Yeah, high school, like senior year of high school.
I wish I had. I think it's sitting in my house somewhere, in the form of VHS tape. I don't think it's on a DVD, but you used to bring your classmates over to our house on Dog Hill, back when we lived on Mount Pleasant Road, and get me to play songs for them, number one. But it was somewhere, I think that was more like around your junior
Yeah, junior and senior year.
Senior years.
When I started driving.
Yeah, and you never came, but there's an age difference.
I didn't know him in high school.
Y'all were 4 years apart, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'd have moved off to school and came back before I met Graham.
Yeah.
I got you.
I met you when you opened that store over there by the stadium, and I can't remember how we were introduced, but my best friend was your cousin, so Conway Strickland, the late great.
But I don't remember Conway being a part of me meeting you. I think it was Jesse Harry.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I think it was, back then we were like all trying to write whatever we were trying to write, and for whatever reason they thought I was bluesy, and they said, you need to get with Graham because he writes blues.
Yeah.
And I don't think either one of us wrote blues, but we just
our kind of way bluesy. That's what I always used to say.
Our kind of way bluesy.
Yeah. Which we got.
We did have blues roots, but I mean, I think they were just what they were doing at the time was more metal, or
we were bluesy compared to them.
Yeah. We were more rootsy, I guess. We just didn't know what to call what back then.
We had good. What is interesting to me about Gravy and stuff like that is, I don't know where it came from, but we had good influences from the get-go, like before we even realized it. Because I mean, of course we liked all the stuff that was current and popular, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Beck. I loved Beck, but since I was a kid, I've always gone back further than that, and I don't. It's not that I was ever prodded or encouraged to. It's just, well, like Granddaddy had Hank Williams Sr. records laying around, and y'all had the Beatles records laying around. But I listened to Buddy Holly and the Crickets. When I was a little kid, I thought they were current. I didn't realize they were from the 50s, you know. Jerry Lee Lewis was my favorite when I was a kid. So we had all that, and you probably are the same way. So we had that in our DNA really when we formed a band together. So
yeah, I think we all had our own different influences, and we all turned each other on to different things. And I think that band, we really had a lot of originality compared to anybody else's.
Yeah,
what was the first band name?
The Wood Grains. What, the first name of Gravy or what?
Really? The Wood Grains?
Yeah, that's where the Wood Grains got their name from.
Really?
Yeah.
We
were the Wood Grains for like 2 weeks or something like that.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't even think we played a gig like that.
No. We had
Jesse Lee come up with that name, Wood Grains.
Yeah.
And I think it was going to be me, you, and Jesse Lee, and I don't think we ever did anything.
Yeah.
What did he play?
He played harmonica.
He had
That's right.
Didn't he play the organ?
He bought an organ.
And he put it in my house.
Yeah, that qualifies.
That qualified him as an organist.
I don't know. He might have known. He might have known what he was doing. I don't really remember jamming with him even that.
But I think that was mostly based around you and him rapping and stuff. I think.
Yeah, rapping Christmas presents, and then we started singing carols, and then it's like, hey, we harmonizing. No, I guess I did like rap back then, but that was definitely something that. I mean, I still like hip hop a little bit, like the old stuff, but. That was something that was an element, but it wasn't a big element, I don't think, in our music.
But pre-Gravy, before Will came into the picture, Will Thrift, it was me, you, and Jesse, and Jody Parrott, and maybe Zach Cardwell. Yeah, Zach Cardwell too.
Yeah, he was there for a minute.
And I think we played a few shows like that, and we bounced around names from the Severalist.
Terrible. We had some bad
Severalist. I think that was Jody's.
Yeah, that was.
And Plastic Man. I remember that was your idea for the
Plastic Man. Yeah, I think we did.
We're Plastic Man.
Yeah, we had a lot of. When you're smoking that much pot.
No, did you know that there was a comic book called Plastic Man?
Well, yeah, that's probably where it came from, the old cartoon.
And I think I bought the one of the first copies in 1965 in a little convenience store in Lutz, Florida. It was relevant to me. It was a a comic book. It was called Plastic Man.
Yeah, I remember the guy had the 70s sunglasses.
It was
He had
sunglasses.
the Elvis glasses.
Yeah. That was actually a good one. But, well, the first band I was ever in before Gravy was, if you want to talk about crazy names, in high school, Job Driggers, Patrick Benfield, Jamie Bruner, and me were John Holmes and the Footlongs. Yeah. And I would guess I was John Holmes because I was the lead singer, but talk about false advertising in that name. But we used to play house parties and stuff, and it was a really good like learning phase, I guess, like because we didn't ever really even play in clubs or bars, but we played house parties to a lot of people, and they dug it and stuff, and we got into the habit of what being a band is, practicing and trying to get tighter. We wrote original songs, and they were probably derivative original songs like of Oasis and Pearl Jam and whatever was out, but we were trying there, and people dug us, and it was cool. So, and I know the first time I met you was, or one of the first times I met you was with Job Driggers, because he was coming back from college or something like that, from Athens, and I remember he would want to jam with me because when he come back, because we were not really a band anymore, but we were still trying to hang on to it or whatever. And I said, well, I just met this dude. He plays and he's cool. And so I remember going behind the old high school, behind the tennis courts one night, and everybody was passing the bottle around. I don't even know if you remember this, but
I don't.
Okay, you had brought some girls there or something, and me and Joe pulled up, and he had his guitar, you had your guitar, and we just started. I think it's the first time y'all might have kind of hung out, but
we tennis courts at the old Ware County High School?
Ware County, where you went to school. Yeah, and we were behind there, and I remember vividly.
Was that my old high school?
Yours
was where the junior high.
Yours was the junior high.
That was the original.
That was junior high when I went.
So yours high school was Cherokee.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we but
so
anyway,
that was the tennis courts you're talking about.
Yeah, behind the tennis courts there, and we jammed all night and hung out and passed the bottle. I remember that, and I know that was like the second time I ever hung out with you. I know
one of the first times I hung out with you was at the golf course out there.
Yeah.
And I think we rode around and you were singing me a song, Whiskey Bottle lyrics.
Right.
Well, you never have any guitar to it, and you're singing it to me, and I think we later on figured it out.
Yeah, that was like technically probably the first real song I ever wrote, and I wrote it with you.
Yeah.
Because I have to collaborate. I'm not really a guitar player or anything.
You pretty much had that whole song laid out, though. I just had to figure out what chords you were singing. Right.
But I mean,
I didn't feel like I really wrote anything about it.
Well, I mean, it's like
was figuring out what you'd already had. You'd already had the melody and everything.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a co-write in everything I do, though, because it takes. I think that one of my strong suits is collaboration. Like I could bring something. I might bring something pretty much fully formed. But it still takes the other person to know where you're coming from, and some of the best songs I've ever written, to me, is with people. Like you might throw in one line that just is perfect and needs to be there, and you're an outside influence. I wouldn't ever thought of that.
I like writing with other people too.
And sometimes when it's projects like even with the Newfanglers, like where I looked at that totally as a like a more of a songwriting exercise, because y'all had the story lined up already, a true story. It's based on a true story. You had that, and it was almost like Dave was dictating. All right, we need somebody to do this part of the story.
Yeah, he had an outline. Yeah. We need a song about this, a song about that.
Yeah, and I remember I had to do the love story angle, and I come up with a whole song that I can't even remember it now, but I thought it was pretty good.
It wasn't the one that ended up.
No, I brought it to you, and you're like,
I wish I still.
But you know what though?
That
I went back to the drawing board and I come up with something that y'all liked, and it was probably a better song for it too.
Yeah.
Yellow Moon.
Yeah, Yellow Moon.
Yellow Moon.
That was kind of a weird one, but hopefully it fit with the.
That's one of my favorite ones on there.
It is mine too. It contains the
Seed of
one
what?
chord in there that to me is the best note on the album. Is when it changes from E to A, and Paul hits that little chime on the lap steel.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it's just that during the solo, during the solo, it's right there. That just gets me every time.
Something about that project was kind of magic.
It was. It was
Poured
very,
out. Happened very fast. It felt like.
Well, sort of fast and slow though, because it took us.
It took forever to get it finished. Yeah.
But we had
started in
we had
October.
The initial groundbreaking was like all the songs are written and laid down. And then it's like 4 years later they're mixed.
Yeah, the actual creative part did happen fast.
Yeah.
But that was such a cool time because we had come out of Gravy. We'd been a couple years out of Gravy, but I feel like we were at our sort of like a peak creatively because we were still using that muscle all the time, which you never quit. But I mean, I've been retired for a good decade or more, really, probably more, like 15 years. But
retired from songwriting,
from all of it, from performing, from song, which I still write songs when they, like Book of White called them sky songs because you just reach up into the sky and grab it, or they reach down and grab you. But so I still write songs like that where I can't help it. Like if something comes to me fully formed, I'll write it down, you know. But
Look at that.
oh man, I
don't even know where that's at.
That's my dad taking the pictures though with the big bald spot.
Where are we at right there?
We did a bike. That was one of the bike
That's
rallies.
a house back there.
Yeah, but it was one of the bike rallies we did. It's like the first bike rally we did, but I can't remember where it was.
Was it in Waresboro? We played something out there at that gas
it was
station, but
something
I
like
don't
that.
remember there being a house like that.
It was something like that, and I remember more about the other bike rally we did that was in the winter time.
But that's the grand opening of Crosstown Music.
Yeah, that looks like the Gravy days right there. I got a half beard and probably am drunk.
and it looks like the wrist was.
I haven't been that skinny in a long time. Even though when I was that skinny, I still had a big old head. Look at that big old head.
Oh, you were the heart and soul of that. That's who the people were coming to see.
Who's that back there? Can you tell?
It's got to be Will Thrift on the drums, but I don't know who's standing back there. I
There's
can't see
somebody
that
standing back there.
It's probably Charlie Chastain.
Probably was. I think that was Little Charlie fell. I was just talking
Was
to him
that the
about
day
this.
that happened?
What happened?
I think this was when, maybe not,
Yeah.
but it was on a stage like this downtown. I'm pretty sure it was this show.
It's like a flatbed.
That Charlie Jr. I can't remember. He was just telling me about this. I saw him up in Athens. He fell and hurt his leg or something, hurt his arm or something.
Hurt his head.
Yeah. That was in
What
my
a
old house there.
Hey, by the way, was he our first bass player or
No, Jesse was with the Severalists or Plastic Man or whatever you want to call us. And then Jesse went away for a while out of our little loop, and then Jonathan Gibson right there.
Yeah, because I work at FedEx now, and
That's Jonathan?
Yep.
I was thinking that was Ken.
It looks like him.
he works there, and I told him about this podcast, so he's going to be listening to it.
I
but,
run on him all the time, like here and there.
What's weird about that? What's weird about him? Which I know we're jumping all around or whatever, but he was our bass player for whatever for a while.
For Gravy.
And when
We laid down the album with him.
right, but he also played some live shows with us. But you know, there was one show in Athens where I actually wasn't a part of this. My memory's hazy, but I wasn't a part of this fight. Like, Gravy fought a lot, but I don't know compared to other bands.
Yeah.
But we fought a lot. We butted heads and actually fought. But okay, we were in Athens at a club, and I vividly
Tasty
remember.
World was the only time we played in Athens.
But we played it a few times.
Really?
Tasty World. And and there was another club in Athens we played where they would give young bands a chance. I can't remember the name of the place, but man, we played 2 places up there. But I remember vividly standing off stage, and because I'd come and go, like sometimes Gravy was a rock band that jammed versus a jam band that rocked. I mean, we were a rock band, but we got
into some crazy jams.
Y'all got in some long jams.
Yeah.
So I'd go have a drink, talk to a few ladies, whatever.
Because you were the lead singer.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't have to be there for all of it.
Middle
He was Jim
of
Morrison.
the jam. You just walk.
I
to
might
the
be
bar.
AWOL in the middle of because this is going 25 more minutes. You know, I can go get a drink. But I remember I was off stage and looking at the stage, and something happened, and Will and Jonathan got into it.
Really?
And there was almost a fit. It was coming to blows moment.
Really?
On stage, and everything just went to shit. And you were probably pissed that happened in front of people, so you jumped into it. And I hung back because I felt like it was already
I don't
bad
remember
enough.
this at all, and I can't imagine them two getting into it.
But I never. The thing is,
Like me and Jesse, or you and me, or
Jonathan
you
has
and
got
Jesse.
to remember this.
But Jonathan and Will, those were the
but
two
Jonathan's
peacemakers.
got to remember this. But what's so crazy
We'd
is
like to invite Jonathan and Will, if they're watching this, to
Be a
email
guest.
us.
they might have a better recollection.
Come
but-
on here and tell your own damn
Come
story.
on here and tell your own side of it.
But the craziest part about it was I never saw Jonathan Gibson again until like 2 weeks ago. I saw him at FedEx.
Since that night?
Yeah. He quit the band after that, and he didn't play with us anymore. And I hadn't seen him in 20 years, and I saw him at FedEx. I was like, "What's up, dude?" And I told him about the podcast, and he said he'd watch it. So maybe he can fill the blanks in, but that's how he went out. And then
It was because him and Will got into
well,
a
he was
fight?
probably ready to go anyway. I don't know all the ins and outs, but he was probably ready to go. We were probably a bit much for somebody that wasn't.
Yeah, we were out there.
We were out there. Okay, we were out there, and we all had the same kind of. Well, I mean, Will was different too, but Will was just a sky pilot, so he was out there anyway.
Yeah.
But me and you were on a musical journey.
Is this happening right now in the podcast?
What is this the song that you wrote?
This is one me and him did.
This is a song that we co-wrote.
Yeah.
Why don't you play a Gravy song about right now? That would mean that would be relevant. to
What was
we're-
that, though?
We're just talking
I was just
about.
a demo of a song me and
original,
him did.
It sounded like I thought it was going to be the song that you wrote for Newfanglers or something. I was like, how the hell's he go?
Oh no.
No, I sent him.
You know what gravy song I wished you had sent me, but I don't think you have.
I didn't
I
send
don't
you the
have
Gravy
any
songs,
gravy
did I?
stuff.
You say
Justin.
you
Oh, okay, sorry.
if you're gonna play a gravy song,
No,
We ain't
he
got
doesn't
none.
have them. I didn't send
okay.
him. Why did I send you that one though? I don't recall. Maybe it was a talking point, but I didn't know it came out of the blue there and scared me.
Real Thing would be a good one, and Real Thing or what was that? My favorite one was what was that one that had the long jam on the end of it?
All of them had
Is
a
it-
long jam.
But is it She's My Trigger? Is that the name
was-
of it?
I don't remember that one having a long jam.
You know,
but
it sounded kind of like Love and Spoonful, but it had a dun 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 dun.
oh, you're talking about that. She's My Trigger is a different song. You're talking about Transcendental Continental.
Yeah, that one. But it had "She's My Trigger" in the lyrics. I think I called back the
When
other
was
song.
that?
that? What year did y'all come out with that?
It was right towards the end.
I was like, the peak of Gravy was like 98 to 2000.
All right.
yeah.
So when I had the first Graham Parsons guitar pull in the backyard, y'all opened the show.
What year was that?
That was when
98.
we'd
Would
probably
that have been Gravy?
we'd been together less than a year, but we were starting to write original songs. I remember some we never did again, like "Fire in the Devil's Bed" and that kind of stuff. Like that kind of
And
stuff.
I remember you were over on that side of the house in front of the laundry room, was where you were playing.
On the patio, facing the backyard.
So
Let's pull up that memory. Yeah.
and go.
Is that one on there?
No.
That is, isn't it? Isn't there a Grand
No,
Parsons?
just-
Right there, Sean.
I'm just acting like we have access to anything that's ever happened.
Well, I don't see it now. But anyhow, that album that album knocked me out.
Our album?
Yeah, that Gravy album was it was terrific. It was
It's all over the place.
stuff that I had never heard, and y'all stylistically and everything. You were bringing it all. Y'all were writing some songs on that thing, and the recording too. I guess that was done
Jesse.
at Jesse's.
Yeah,
With
Jesse.
Jonathan.
Oh, okay.
And then Jonathan
but
left.
Jesse was
Jesse
in the
played
band.
on a few songs, I believe.
He played on Love Another, and because I remember that was a point of contention.
Oh, okay.
With Jonathan wanted to re-record it, but we had such a good recording.
We'd
with
already had it
Jesse.
recorded with Jesse.
Yeah, that was one of his bones of contention. But my biggest thing with Gravy was I appreciate you liking it, and we were just figuring stuff out
Yeah, we didn't
because
know what we were doing.
we
yeah.
got the best stuff we ever did never got recorded, like Return of the Cocaine Cowboy.
It got recorded and on a cassette tape.
The
or at least
live version
a
of it
live
did.
version of it, but
I blew that, I think.
nobody even knows what happened to the tape.
Yeah, I think I had it, and I don't know what happened to it.
And then none of us could remember how to play the song. It was like the greatest song
The
ever
greatest
written.
lost song ever. It was like Led Zeppelin
It went
meets.
through so many changes and
Yeah.
different vibes during the song. Like a country song, and then it goes into some other thing.
But we were doing that right at the end, like of Gravy. Right before we ended, we had Jamie Moore with us, and you and Jamie Moore are like adding just so much layers to stuff, adding him because he's a great guitar player too.
Oh, yeah.
We were just really coming into our own. Like I was, because a lot of the stuff I cringe at my part of in Gravy, like
My part
y'all
too.
had some great, y'all laid down some great
cringe
stuff, and
at
then
my
I had
stuff,
some
yeah.
cheesy, but I was just figuring it out. But by the end of it, we'd been a band 3 or 4 years, playing, being dedicated to it, practicing a lot, playing a lot. We were getting so damn good.
Yeah.
That's my biggest regret is we were at a turning point. We were fixing to hit that next level. I feel like in all areas, and it dissolved for whatever reason. But
So are y'all uncomfortable with your parts that you're talking about around the album time, or are you saying that the album was one of the good?
no, I'm saying
Peak times.
the album was us still in the process of learning how to be a band.
So good though, I swear to God. I
the
don't see
stuff
how
we
y'all
did-
could look,
the
look
stuff
down
we
on
did-
that.
The stuff we did after that
Yeah.
was just like a stepping
We
stone.
recorded some songs after that album.
Yeah, we had some demos that
a
were
little
really good.
5-song demo or something.
Like the Transcendental Continental, that wasn't on the album.
Transcendental
that was
Continental, Rock and Roll 101.
Transcendental Continental wasn't on the album.
Good. No, that was when we were getting to another level.
You
there.
might have heard some others, the other stuff. It was a white CD. We made them all ourselves, but a white album background, and then a pinup girl on a rocket, and it said Gravy on the rocket or something. And we had like 5 or so songs that were newer on that.
Well, I've got.
I don't have any of that stuff. I would-
about
do you
I don't
still
have any
have
of it.
12 or 13 Gravy songs. So I'm thinking about that
That's
as the album.
That's the album,
Yeah, that's
No,
the
that
album
was,
proper,
okay.
but we did
which was called Self-Entitled
Psychedelic Self-Important White Trash Retro Party, right?
Psychedelic
right.
Self-Important White Trash. Yeah.
But I don't know, we just went beyond that pretty quickly, but we don't have anything. Regretfully, we don't have a lot of that to show for it.
Yeah.
And also another element to Gravy that you couldn't really capture at that time was the live.
Yeah,
we were a live band. I feel like we were a
Kick-ass.
pretty good live band.
Yeah. We played down at Whitfield's during Christmas, like the biggest
Yeah, we had
day,
some packed out places and
New Year's Eve and stuff.
yeah, wall to wall people.
We played in the gazebo one time.
Yeah, I remember. We the craziest thing. I don't know how real y'all want to get on, or how real y'all can get on here, but
As real as you want.
I mean, I'll just say it then. The crazy thing was, Mickey's bar, Little Knots.
We played there every Thursday for one summer.
Yeah, okay. He had a whole harebrained.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a harebrained idea where
Or
he was going to
Wednesday.
do. It was a hardcore country bar at the time, like hardcore.
Yeah.
But everybody went there, and the craziest thing, there'd be the country band playing all night. Nobody danced, and then as soon as they took a break, they'd start playing some shitty hip hop, and everybody'd get out there and dance. Then, but so he decided he liked us. So he decided, well, we're going to have Thursday nights is going to be our rock night, our psychedelic rock.
I had the what I remember about that is I had the toy laser gun that I would stick to the guitar pickups and it would come through my amp. Choo, 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 wow, 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 wee, wee,
Yeah, we
wee,
went out there, dude.
And I was doing all that and then took a break, and they didn't know I was standing there, but I was at the upstairs bar. They didn't know I was up there, and the bartender was like, "If he puts that damn gun to that guitar one more damn time."
Oh, the bartenders, the old hard.
I'm gonna go down there.
They hated us. They hated
what the hell we were doing.
Yeah, which screw them. I mean,
whatever.
all they got to do is serve the drink. But what was interesting about that time was musically, it was so interesting because it was basically a recreation of the 60s acid party, acid test stuff, because some of the people around our orbit at that time were, for whatever reason, I won't mention any names, but heavy duty drug dealers, I guess. But they had a lot of acid, they had a lot of mushrooms, and everybody was taking them, including, I know me and you were taking them in the band. So those nights were like a trip party night, but they were experimental as hell because the music was like that. We got on a groove and we had some. I remember Paul Lee was. I never knew if he liked us or not, but he was there one night, and he said that's some of the greatest live music I've ever heard. He said that, and you know that dude sings some good live music. I mean, even at that time, he was like, "This is other level stuff." I was like, "Yeah, it is." And it was. I mean, I still stand by. I wish we had some CDs or tapes of live tapes of that.
So, did y'all have sound man back then, or did it
they had the guy that was there?
They
Roger.
had the Little Knots Roger.
Yeah,
Roger ran sound?
Roger Dodger.
Yeah, he would say, "Everybody, put your psychedelic headbands on for gravy."
Yeah,
and but people come up to me. That was just a time.
There? That was I was still in my post office.
You
days.
Probably were.
I was at the tail end of my post office.
you didn't really give a shit about us.
This was like
I didn't even.
This was like 98, 99.
Yeah, that was
something
that
like
Every
was
Thursday.
when, the first guitar pool was had. So I was only going out on the town maybe once every 3 months or so. And I was at the post office, working at the post office, and that took up my life right there. So
I'm trying to remember. I know the first time I met Dave was
I should have gone.
You brought me over to Dave's house, and we were showing you songs that we had written, just sitting around playing. And I don't remember what.
At my house?
Yeah.
I thought the first time we met was you took me to his house.
Or your store, maybe.
No, it was that house over there behind
Camden.
Crystal.
It maybe that was, but I know the first time we sat down and played music for you was in your living room.
That sounds right, because I don't think we played music
for you and Lynn,
long.
and like we'd play a song, we'd play a song, we'd play a song.
Because we were just starting then. Like, I don't know, you'd been around longer than me. You were at Sierra something in high school playing. I used to go to those shows, but I didn't know you. But you had been playing it. You were on a track. You went to music school, art school, and stuff. You were kind of like initially. We were kind of discovering it together, but you were the leader. You were the kind of guiding us in the music or whatever. You had the most experience of anybody.
Who of y'all first started pulling in the Graham Parsons connection?
I mean, I grew up.
I didn't even know
with
who Graham Parsons was until Graham told me.
You, of course, knew.
I
grew up in Waycross, didn't know who he was.
But you were into it though. I mean,
But wasn't Chris
you
Ryder
were like
involved in some of that too?
he was on the
He
scene.
came along later.
Well, this was later.
He was on the scene early though.
Yeah. But when you were turning me on to it, about the time it took me a few listens, I think, and then I was like, I like this song, but I'm not sure about this. I like this one, but it was a total shift in anything I'd ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, it took me a while. I remember the night that I got it, but that was like on some mushrooms. But
There you go. We were fuck the Grateful Dead. We
So anyway, Chris came along about that time that I'd gotten into it from you getting me into it. And you, I think I'd already been hanging out with you at this point too. And then Chris did the same thing. I like this song, but I don't like this. The rest of it, I like this one song and the rest of it's shit. And then
So you think that
he finally got
when, however it was that you and I met through Graham, was that pre 1998?
Oh yeah.
Or was it
I mean, it was close.
I think it was 90. I think it was 98.
I
about
know
the same
that,
time?
I know that I know it would have been 1996 when we first met and started playing together.
So maybe it was 96.
So
or 97.
around that time, not far after that,
Okay.
I
sure
lived in
I
that
took him to
house
your
that you're talking about, 97, 98.
Okay.
Yeah, because I knew you a while before you had the house. So,
Yeah.
and that house became a den of sin.
It did, man.
That's where we practiced at. That's where we partied at.
I don't know how. I mean, every night. I mean, there's so many nights that you can't even put all the stories together, but like, or remember it all. But
Right.
like, that house, every night was a party, and no cops ever came, and it was on
Yeah, we were right
a
there.
main drag
It was
Yeah,
on
we were
the
on the
corner.
main track. You remember you had that circular window that opened
Yeah.
up like a
porthole.
yeah, like but it was like a television show or something. You just pop like a little Muppet pop his head out the window or
Hey.
something.
That's
Sesame
like
Street.
Laugh in.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember there's so many crazy characters that would just hang out. Just I know we were in Waycross, but it was kind of like we were living that
Hate ash barriers.
like we were living the artist life.
Bohemian.
We were really living the artist life.
I mean, it was
had
my house, and sometimes I'd be like, "Hey, I'm Sean." Like, I don't know who you are.
But that was the good times, man. That was the you sort of wish you knew that you were in the good times when you're in the good times, so you can fully enjoy them. Because I took a lot of that for granted, like the bonding we did, the music we made. It
This
was
is just
pretty
going to
awesome.
be forever. This is how it is.
And I wish somebody was recording all of it and kept the tapes.
Yeah.
That's my biggest regret in music. So many songs that I've went into the studio and recorded.
We did record a lot
are
of those
gone,
practices somehow or another. Probably, I remember I had a tape deck from a Magnavox tape recorder that I bought from Radio Shack that was $80, but it had a left and right 1/4-inch jacks on the back.
Right.
And we'd hook up 2 microphones and just put them in the room.
Yeah,
and-
we
and
recorded our
record
practices and jams and stuff for later.
on cassette.
Magnavox was a good brand too. That was one of my first stereo.
I would
was
love,
Magnavox.
even after all that, whenever Cypress Creek was first happening, I know Larry's got to have some of those old
Yeah,
sets.
he's
right?
does.
he's got a lot of recordings.
I would
He-
love to
and
get
he's-
my hands on.
he's Got
some of
got
that.
them archived.
Did we play there? That's Gravy.
Well, I don't know that we played there as Gravy, but it was still so close to Gravy
We
days.
played there as the Newfanglers.
Yeah, but even pre Newfanglers too, we were so close of coming off of Gravy because you went on to play with Laney right after that. But
About 6 months
We-
of that.
you had Jack Cadillac after that. I sat in with Jack Cadillac so many times that it was, I mean, not that I was part of the band, I wasn't, but I sat in with y'all. I sat in with him. We all sat in with each other. It was kind of like the Newfanglers were really happening before they happened. I mean, because we were all jamming together. It was a one big band.
Yeah, Lulu's, Whitfields, and then the Creek. I don't remember. I think they were like early 2000s.
Coyotes.
Coyotes, yeah, or Bahamas.
Was that where
Bahamas and Coyotes.
Cypress Creek is now or something?
No, they were behind. It's where
It's across the street from
Christopher.
used to be Christopher's.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Right across from the
That was the
Kentucky
place.
Fried Chicken.
That was the place where there were the Indians owned it or somebody, and
Yeah.
me and you had to go in there and get our money and meet with them.
Yeah, it was
remember
like,
that?
yeah, they were not going to pay us or something.
Yeah, we had to meet like a mafia meeting with all
Yeah.
the owners, and it was me and you, right?
Yeah,
And okay, we packed that place.
We packed it out and they weren't going to pay us.
Yeah, we made those dudes so much money. And they tried to turn around and say, oh, we didn't have that deal or whatever. We didn't have that. It was like first times on for free or whatever. And me and you had to go in there and get our money.
Yeah.
Did y'all get it?
I don't remember that part, but I remember we went in there.
I remember it was a tense situation. And for whatever reason, nobody else wanted to go. Like we probably drew straws to see who, and me and you had to go do it.
Did y'all speak the same language?
There were interpreters involved. I honestly remember that part.
There were interpreters.
It was like somebody, like they were telling.
They were
the
trying to
old
get
man.
something for nothing.
It was really a mafia movie because I remember
It's like
table
Indian
of them.
mafia.
Yeah, table of them sitting there, and they were just pricks, man, because they could have paid us. They made a lot of money.
Oh
I know.
man, they made thousands that night.
Yeah, and we weren't even asking. We probably weren't even
just
asking
give
for
us-
$100 a man.
Give us our $200,
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah. Do you remember the night there was this dude that went to Ware County with all of us, and he was friends with Mason or somebody, or Jody. Jody Parrott was our drummer for a while too. We went to Douglas to him and his family started a club in Douglas, and we went and played there, and there weren't a lot of people there.
That was a Douglas,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Douglas.
and they paid us
They
twice.
paid us twice.
We didn't know they paid us
They
twice.
paid me and they paid you, and on the way home we
We're
figured
like-
it out.
Yeah, we're like, oh, we got both got paid.
But man, we didn't go back and give him the money. We were
We
like,
did go back.
no, he come to your house that night, and he was all embarrassed, and we were embarrassed, and we had to give him part of the money
He came
back.
to my house.
Yeah, to
I
get
thought
it.
that halfway back they called us and we turned around and went. And
No, I remember we went home. We were like, what should we do? And we were like, screw it, let's keep the money. And they had been so nice to us too. So needless to say, we never played there again. But
we
he
tried
had
to we tried to rook them. I
he
guess.
had to come and get the money.
It almost evened out, and y'all wouldn't have had to get the money from the Pakistans.
Yeah, we
If
got
you'd-
paid
if
double
you'd
at the
got
other
paid
gig.
Double at the
There
other
was
gig.
nobody at that gig though.
Yeah, I
that.
felt real bad
It
about
was
that
like-
because they did not make money that night. But we were ahead of our time. I feel like we
we didn't know what we were doing.
were figuring it out, and I don't think people even. I mean, people appreciated it, but I don't think any of us
I don't
fully
think any of-
appreciated how good it was at the time.
I think we appreciated how good it was at the time, but I don't think any because we were listening to stuff that other people hadn't even caught on to yet.
Right.
And
Like the Afghan Wigs.
like Afghan Wigs and just odd bands, and that was creeping its way into our writing,
Yeah.
and everybody was like, "What the hell is this?" You
I
know?
remember I was hanging out with some chick, and I was listening to a live Afghan Wigs CD or whatever that you'd probably give me, and she was like, "Oh, when did y'all record this?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "No, it ain't us, honey. It ain't us." But it could have been like we were so heavily influenced by that band. I mean, and nobody knew that band, so
Yeah.
it was kind of like we not stole their thunder or anything, but we sounded wholly original to everybody because they were so underground. You know?
All of our influences were so
So we
unheard
were
of that
taking
we
a-
were really original.
We
Because
I
were
never
taking a
heard
piece
of
of this and a piece of that.
I
like-
had never. I wouldn't listen to Afghan Wigs and stuff like that. So, but that's why my opinion of that album is so raving. I was just blown away by y'all's album.
Well, we were
when it
listening to
came
a lot
out.
of old stuff too.
And the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, they
y'all
were
turned me on to
huge.
them.
I
too.
think it
Huge
was
influence, too.
Chili
Y'all
Peppers,
really turned me on to
John
them
Spencer
lines.
Blues Explosion,
Oh yeah,
Afghan Wigs,
R.L. Burnside.
R.L.
man.
Burnside.
Who else? Beck was a huge.
Beck was
for me.
Beck's always been a huge influence for me.
But he was the guy that bridged the gap between, okay, he's got some crazy retro psychedelic rock, and some funk and stuff, but he's also throwing in old blues and country.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote a song that Johnny Cash covered back then, like Rowboat.
Yeah.
Like he had some crazy country, and that to me in my mind, I was like, oh, hey, this is kind of like Graham Parsons. And I didn't even know that I didn't know how huge Graham Parsons was. I just grew up with him because he's from Waycross. Like I appreciated him because he was from here, but I was like, hey, this is kind of like that.
Well, Beck was on the tribute to Graham.
Right. But like Wilco, all the bands we love, we found out later, hey,
We're into all these bands that were influenced by the guy from our town.
You know what? It's almost too like, it's almost like we were influenced by the same bands that great bands were influenced. Like we skipped a step, like if that makes any sense. Like we weren't just listening to what was on the radio. We were listening to stuff, old stuff, and being influenced by that. So maybe that was part of what made our sound like it was too.
Back then, though, I mean, there wasn't like streaming music and.
Yeah, this was pre-internet, pre-everything.
And you would have to go out and find new bands and whatever. And when you found them, you really you'd hold on to them and just soak up everything they had. And like nobody else knows what the hell this album is.
Nobody really did. I mean, not around here.
Yeah.
I remember me and you went, and probably Jesse Lee, we went back to back 2 nights and saw John Spencer.
Yeah, we did.
When Acme came out.
Conway and Zach.
Conway went, yeah.
I know he went the second night.
Yeah,
because
we
got
went to
pulled
Tallahassee and we went to Ybor City.
Ybor City.
Oh. And I got a story
we got
about
pulled
that.
over at
That's Tampa.
Yeah,
coming
Tallahassee and Tampa.
Do you know that's where Graham's place is?
Oh, really?
Ybor
With the
City.
Mark Holland guy or whatever? Yeah, I didn't know
that
that.
little bread and breakfast after Graham Parsons.
I don't know.
Ybor City.
I need to take a bathroom break.
Let's take a short break.
We're going to take a short break right
sorry.
now. Be right back.
Something in my brain won't let me stray. Something in my veins gonna find its way. Something in the water taught me how to pray. When that cold black water finds its way into your veins, you'll never be the same.
Welcome back, folks. Something in the Water podcast. Our guest this week is my nephew, David Graham Griffin. We call him Graham. We call him Pork Chop. No, we call him Graham. So you got us a story to tell, huh? You said that you had a story to tell, eh?
The Ybor City story.
Or Hazelhurst. You said
Well,
you had
both of
Yeah,
those,
yeah.
but we were thinking about ending on the Ybor City, but I was ruminating about that and whittling. When I ruminate, I whittle. But I was thinking maybe that should be a deep end story if we're going to do the deep end. I heard about this deep end y'all had. I wanted to check it out.
So it's one of them stories. Okay. Yeah. All right, folks. So, in other words, we do have a Patreon account known as The Deep End, and it's for Something in the Water podcast that go off the deep end. And they are rather risque and can carry certain sentences with them.
Sentences and words.
Yeah, as in lawsuits, prison terms. No, we do get kind of down and dirty with our deep end, and I appreciate you letting us know that.
Yeah,
in advance.
I wanted my mama to see one of these, but maybe not both of them.
Well, but $5 a month is all it takes, and you can catch those.
It's the behind the scenes. It's
Graham
the extra
Griffin stories.
the extra bonus footage.
And I'm sure they're good, but you can catch that at the deep end. So right now we're going to do some of your original songs.
Oh yeah, I thought I'd do one that me and you wrote together. Louise.
And by the way, I didn't write any of these words. You just said this is how I want it to go, and we did.
Well, we collaborated on it.
Bernie Taupin and Elton John moment.
Louise, Louise. Well, you ain't no aristocrat, and
And I ain't no tightrope walker. How come you treat me like an acrobat? It's a shame the way you make me walk the line. Up on the high rise, stone cold frozen blind. Oh, Louise, Louise, is it dark up in your room? Is that why you're still sleeping past 3 in the afternoon? Won't you come outside and dry my sorry eye? Up on the high rise, stone cold frozen blind. Oh, Louise, Louise, I am weeping like a willow. Your poetry's good company, but it don't make a very good pillow. Won't you come outside and dry my sorry eye? Up on the high rise, stone cold frozen blind. Oh, Louise, Louise, you beat me like a drum. You said if I didn't want trouble, should've never asked you to come. No, I'm half of mine not to walk your line. Up on the high rise, stone cold frozen blind. Oh, Louise, Louise, oh, do anything you will. I'll be up on my trapeze tonight outside your windowsill, trying hard not to walk your line. Up on the high ride, stone cold frozen blind.
Yes, sir.
We haven't played that in about a decade, so
That's pretty
that's
good.
pretty good.
It's probably the best time I ever heard it. Not that I ever heard it bad.
That was pretty much the last song I ever wrote, a full song I ever wrote, probably.
It's a good one.
Appreciate it.
I've always enjoyed it myself. Well, friendly folks, it's time once again for a tale of the week by yours truly. And it says, the reason I'm called Uncle Dave is because of this guy right here. He was my first offspring. What is it? Nephew, niece, when it comes to the downline, you were the first. He was born into the world on April 8th in 1977 with a name honoring both myself and one of his daddy's favorite musicians, Graham Parsons. David Graham Griffin, my first and only nephew, was an exciting addition into the Griffin upline, and through the years has inspired me to be as good a songwriter as I can be. My older brother, Gary, fresh from a stint in Cornwall, England with the Air Force, settled down with his young wife, Debbie, in the college town of Athens, Georgia, to make good use of his military-provided GI Bill education benefit. As he followed his muse, that of a newspaper journalist, from school editor of Ware County High's Gator Gab, then editor of University of Georgia's Red and Black, finally graduating and joining the local Waycross Journal-Herald, where he was the managing editor. Gary has been a role model for me my entire life. From a young age, his intellectual taste in music led me into directions and discoveries that left an enduring love of groups like Blues Magoos on that little 45 RPM record with the Red Mercury label, blasting out, "We Ain't Got Nothing Yet." Virtually everything the Moody Blues had to offer through full-length long-playing albums and the magnificent 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus, a 1970 epic release from California psychedelic rock group Spirit. By the time he was fully ensconced as a family man in his little apartment in Athens, I was touring on the road and down-home band with Eddie Middleton, and I quite fancied myself as an independent music appreciator on my own. Several visits with my brother made me realize that he was not finished molding and infusing my appetite for great taste. In the spring of '76, I had more flexible income as a working musician and promptly laid down several $100s for a state-of-the-art Akai reel-to-reel multi-track tape recorder. I had a lovely relationship with that 70-pound piece of wood, wires, and capacitors. As soon as a song came through heart and soul to pen and paper, I could put it down for all time by simply mashing record. I carried that machine with me everywhere I went, to every road motel in every town we played in, laying down my innermost thoughts on love, loss, and enlightenment in song. But before I left Athens that weekend, Brother Gary handed me a cassette tape that he had recorded off UGA's college radio station. It was the first time I had ever heard of Barefoot Jerry, a southern country rock band out of Nashville, Tennessee. The recording was their fourth release, You Can't Get Off With Your Shoes On. A stunning blend of vocal harmony, pedal steel flourishes, intuitive lyrics, and intricate guitar solos, wound up tighter than a G-string on a Gibson guitar and wrapped loosely in a sonic package of rock and roll, country, soul, and funk. A year later, my nephew Graham was born. That'd be you. And if that weren't enough of a gift, Gary proceeded to introduce me to another musical treasure of the South, Gamble Rogers. James Gamble Rogers IV was born in Winter Park, Florida, January 31st, 1937, the namesake of two prominent architects in his family, his father, James Gamble Rogers II, and great-uncle, James Gamble Rogers. Turning his back on the family legacy, he became a musician instead. After a brief stay in the folk group, the Serendipity Singers, who had a top 10 hit in 1965 with Don't Let the Rain Come Down. Y'all don't remember that one?
I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah. Is also, parentheses, is also known as Crooked Little Man.
Crooked Little Man. Why didn't you say that?
Why don't you just say crooked?
Gamble started playing solo gigs around Florida. By the 70s, he was headlining the Florida Folk Festival, making waves nationwide for his folk finger-picking and humorously imaginative storytelling style, and influencing the music of Jimmy Buffett and David Bromberg. His style of creating characters from a fictional place called Ocklawaha County, Florida, is reminiscent of the literary genius of William Faulkner. Gamble's fictional characters with names like Steel Bill, Agamemnon Abramovich Jones, or Miss Eulala Singletary were not near as distraught and forlorn as Faulkner's creations. Instead, they were often placed in fabulous predicaments that the titles of Rogers' songs bore out, like Bovine Midwifery, Airstream Trailer Orgy, or The Honey Dipper, a hilarious tale of some poor soul sitting in a portalette when the pickup crane came along and gave him the ride of his life. I'm certain he twittered several times during that scatological loop-de-loop and probably didn't go for a month after. A very humble and self-sacrificing man, Gamble Rogers died on October 10th, 1991, attempting to save the life of a man who was drowning in the rough surf off Flagler Beach. Compromised since childhood by spinal arthritis, he was not a good swimmer, but Gamble chose to head into the ocean nonetheless. In honor of his heroism, the Florida legislature renamed that stretch of beach Gamble Rogers Memorial State Recreation Area. Gamble Rogers Middle School in St. Augustine is named after the self-described modern troubadour. The annual Gamble Rogers Music Festival is held in his honor each May in St. Augustine, and in 1998, he was inducted into the Florida Artists Hall of Fame. Gamble Rogers was quite a man, humble as the day was long, a talented and gifted writer of words, and an appreciator of life and music. Kind of sounds like my brother, your daddy, if you ask me. Hey, well, that was the end.
That was good.
But we're going to take this. Take this conversation over into the deep end, and if you'd like to see the rest of this conversation, you can subscribe to our Patreon, which is Something in the Water Podcast Deep End, right? Is that right? And we have Justin has chimed in and said that is correct. So check
He's
it out.
good like that. Well, folks, we thank you for tuning in this time. Graham, we appreciate you being on.
Oh, this was awesome, man.
And it's what's that old saying? You ain't got to go, but you can't stay here. That's what we used to leave a club back in the 70s when we'd be through playing. We'd tell the folks, you ain't got to go, but you can't stay here.
Can't stay here.
It's kind of like that right now, folks. You ain't got to go, but you can't stay here on Something in the Water. Just come on over to the deep end to catch the rest of this unique conversation. Meantime, we'll see y'all next time.
When the cold black water finds its way across through your veins, it just might seal your fate. It just might seal your fate. It just might seal your fate.
Hey.